What would happen if all men disappeared? Viagra would not be produced anymore. Hair transplant companies would go bankrupt. Women will ignore raised seats for the toilet, and companies that sell urinals will quickly leave the business. And this is only the beginning. Prepare to be amazed. God, what's going on? Be prepared that He will not answer you. After all, as we know, God is also a man, and they all evaporated this morning, including the majority of church attendance. So the Vatican is quiet today, as never before. Adolf Hitler started the Second World War, tried to conquer the world, and created a nuclear bomb. He killed 11 million people. During the terror of Stalin in the USSR, 20 million people died. Mao Zedong became famous for his violence, and his Great Leap Forward campaign led to the death of 40 million people. It is a pity that some men have not disappeared before. In the meantime, until the world without men began to fall apart, women would have to take the government into their own hands, so there would be no more wars. After all, women know that there are much worse things that you can do with another person than just kill him. Habitual life would change beyond recognition. 91% of electrical engineers in the United States were men, as well as 97.6% of electrical grid installers. So at the beginning, you would have to be in the dark. Do not try to turn on your taps. 95.5% of workers in wastewater treatment plants and system operators were men. It would be difficult to travel. 95.9% of the aircraft pilots and flight engineers were men, and almost 100% of engineers and operators of the locomotive were men. However, to travel not only to other countries, but also to reality, you do not even need to go out. Simply subscribe to the IFLAND channel and click the bell to see the most exciting adventures. In the meantime, you may be more fortunate with bus drivers, almost half of whom are women. But the streets are likely to be chaos, and there will be no one man to help you deal with this. It's good that no one will start chasing the streets, taking advantage of the mess. After all, fans of Formula One disappeared. During the 68 years of the World Cup, only 5 women competed at the Grand Prix compared to 822 men in the same period. Sport in general will change a lot. Football and wrestling teams of the NCAA disappeared. There will be much less boxing battles, wrestling, and weightlifting on TV. There were the bulk of the men there. Women will have so many worries that there will be no time to play sports. However, as well as solace oneself with drink. Soon the alcohol industry will decline. Prior to this, the average American guy drank 23 gallons of beer, 15 pints of wine, and 10 pints of spirits every year. All in all, each year, about 200 million barrels, that's 6.2 billion gallons of beer, are produced. And they bought alcoholic beverages worth about $116 billion. Most likely, women will find a more rational application of this money. All women will actively explore new professions, so some old ones will disappear. There are 40 to 42 million prostitutes in the world, according to a report from Foundation Cellies via Le Figaro. 3/4 of them are between the ages of 13 and 25, and 80% of them are female. Would it be good if the men disappeared? Absolutely not. Even with the iridescent development of events where women manage to understand the complex mechanism of the universe, the most terrible problem would be the impossibility of reproduction. 3.52 billion of women will soon be reduced to several million. Then, humanity will exist for a while only thanks to the banks of sperm. But without new donors, our race will be doomed. You can hope for DNA research and cloning, but that's another story. And what would happen if cloning became a common thing and you met your clone? See the next video on the IFLAND channel.